From having one of the most interesting father-son dynamics on the show, to Voight scouring the ends of the earth to take his revenge, here's what really happened to Justin in Chicago PD. With a show like this one, which has been on the air for ages, many actors come and go. They give us some amazing performances, making their way into our hearts. One such amazing character was Hank Voight's son, Justin, who was last seen at the end of the third season. He went away, but never came back. Played by Josh Segarra, the character had a pretty interesting relationship with his father. The poor guy had a pretty rough childhood, and his father had to help him a lot. No one can ever question how Voight feels about his son. From the moment he came into his life, it was clear that Voight would do anything to keep him safe. The father-son duo first showed up on One Chicago when Justin was in a car accident in the third episode of Season 1 of Chicago Fire. It was a pretty amazing introduction too. Justin was involved in a pretty serious crime since he hit a car that had a father and his young son in it while he was drunk. Since then, Justin became a big part of the first 3 seasons of the show, but then he disappeared. In a super tragic way too. Fans just want to know what happened to Justin and how much it affected Voight. To understand their dynamic relationship and Justin's exit, let's take a trip down memory lane. It all started when Hank and Camilla Voight had a boy named Justin. His life started with a big tragedy, as he had a twin sister that didn't make it. But things weren't all bad. His father had taken in a tough kid named Erin Lindsay, who took Justin under her wing, and the two became the best of friends. Again, things weren't easy for the poor guy. He had a lot of trouble with the law as a teen, even though his father was a police officer. One time, he drove drunk, crashed into another car, and paralyzed a small kid. Yikes! It led to one of the most tense situations on the show. Yep, Voight and CFD Firehouse 51 got into a major fight after Lieutenant Matthew Casey charged his son with a DUI and put him in jail. When Justin finally got out of jail in Chin Check, we see the young guy try and get his life together. He tried his best to fix his relationship with his father, telling him that he loved him and that he was very appreciative of everything Voight did for him. Sweet, right? And by the next season, Justin becomes a father himself. Olive Morgan broke the news to her boyfriend that they were expecting their first baby, and we got to see one of the most adorable scenes on TV. When Voight found out that he would be having his first grandchild. This news really turned things around for Justin, and he decided that he had to be a better man.
This is my family, and I'm gonna keep them safe.
In the episode, An Honest Woman, it comes out that Olive accidentally told someone where Justin's father's safe was, which led to a break-in. During the robbery, Olive got pretty hurt, but when she was taken to the hospital, it turned out that her injuries weren't bad enough to put her unborn child in danger. But while they were there, fans found out that Justin would be having a baby boy. They welcomed the little boy, Daniel, by the third season, and things seemed to be pretty great. Unfortunately, fans didn't know that this season would be his last. In the episode Start Digging, Justin was randomly attacked and tragically died from his wounds. Voight's incredible loss made him super sad, so he did what he does best and went out for revenge against the man who tore his family apart. Fans were heartbroken. Not only was the dynamic between the father and son super interesting, but people loved Justin's character development, especially after he found out that he would become a father. Even though Voight was super devastated by his loss and then consumed by revenge, he kept a pretty nice relationship with his grandson, even setting up a fund for him. But this still doesn't answer one big question. Why did Justin have to die? And that too so tragically. Well, there are a few good reasons behind that, like the fact that he knew about the intelligence victim. At the beginning of the 23rd episode of the third season of the show, Voight and Lindsay were on their way to Justin's son's first birthday party when they got a call about a murder. A woman named Melissa Wilds was shot and left for dead in the trunk of her car. The intelligence unit found out that Justin knew the suspect, Melissa, because she was the widow of a friend that he'd met in the military. When some of the officers found out that he'd gone to see Melissa in the city without telling his father 2 months before she was killed, they knew something was wrong. Mouse was able to find out from Melissa's phone that Justin had talked to her 30 minutes before she died. Halstead told Voight and Lindsay about the news right away, and they tried to get in touch with him, but couldn't. Things got even more intense when he didn't get back to his wife. Olive and everyone else started to get really worried, since they could feel something was very wrong.
Hank, I'm worried.
By the end of the episode, we found ourselves in a super ominous-looking parking garage. That's where the police ended up when they tried to find Justin's car. Soon enough, Voight and Lindsay get there, but they found the worst thing imaginable: Justin's body in the trunk of the car.
Oh my God.
They found him bound, and it was revealed that he was shot in the head. Still, his father rushed him to the Gaffney Chicago Medical Center, and the doctors there worked hard to save his life. Voight was ready to do anything to get payback for his son, while the intelligence unit dug deeper into Justin and Melissa's relationship to find out who would want to kill them. He even put out an incredible $90,000 reward to anyone who would come forward with any information about the murders. Voight later found out that Justin had helped Melissa by getting money from a sketchy friend. When Lindsay and Halstead went to Melissa's law office, they found out that the year before, Melissa had worked on a class action claim that led to settlements of $1 million for many mesothelioma patients. With everything in place, the police were able to figure out that she'd been forced by a robbery gang to reveal the names of the people who made the complaints by blackmailing and torturing her. She was just trying to get out of the tense situation, but then Justin showed up. The gang didn't know what to do and ended up shooting them both. It turned out that Justin wasn't going back to his old ways of breaking the law, he was just doing what he thought was right. He died tragically while trying to help the widow of an army friend. While the investigation was going on, doctors at the hospital were doing everything that they could to save Justin. After a long procedure, fans got to see Justin one last time, but by then he was in a coma. Fans were devastated, and it got even worse from there. By the end, Olive decided to turn off Justin's life support after the doctors declared him to be brain dead. This episode had me ugly sobbing, I'm not even kidding. Of course, it wasn't easy for Voight either. He vowed to take revenge, and he did. We already knew that Voight isn't exactly a perfect police officer. He has a shady past and shady connections, which is why other Chicago police officers call him a dirty cop. But he tried to turn things around and was getting better at it too. But that was until his son was killed. After that, Voight was determined to get justice, and he would do anything to see that it happened. At the end of a super intense investigation, the cop finally found the man responsible for his son's death, Kevin Bingham. Everyone close to Voight knew that he would do whatever it took to get revenge, and Lindsay even forced him to think about his grandson before doing something rash. But nothing worked on him. All he wanted to do was kill Kevin. He sent the other cops on a wild goose chase while he got his shady friends to kidnap Kevin and bring the killer to the silos.
I'm Justin's dad.
Voight made Kevin dig his own grave. At the last possible moment, Lindsay showed up. Her being his best friend and confidant, she tried to stop him from getting his payback, but soon realized that it was useless and drove away before Voight could shoot Kevin and bury him. That's where the season ended, on a cliffhanger. Fans had to wait till the start of season 4 to finally find out what had happened, and no one was surprised by it. Voight killed Kevin. He got his revenge, but that didn't make Justin's death any easier for anyone to deal with. So, from Voight scouring the ends of the earth to take his revenge, to having one of the most interesting father-son dynamics on the show, here's what really happened to Justin in Chicago PD.